Good evening, friends, and welcome to the senior coin ceremony. We'll begin in about 7 minutes, but if you would please go ahead and begin taking your seats.
I ask you to bow with me for a word of prayer as we begin. Our Heavenly Father, what a blessing it is to be together this evening in this special setting with these people who mean so much to one another and to all of us here at the school. We are grateful that you have provided this opportunity for us in the midst of challenging times, and we thank you that so many have made the effort to go long distances in order to be here with us. And we ask your blessings upon this ceremony this evening. We ask you to bless each of these graduates who will be sharing important things tonight and providing a blessing for others. And we thank you most of all for the one who gave an unspeakable gift on our behalf, our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And we offer this prayer in his holy name, and amen. So let me be the first to welcome all of you, guests, honorees, and graduates, to our 11th annual Senior Legacy Ceremony, the most unusual one of all. And you do look a little different. It is a special honor to all of us in the Florida College family to have so many of you here this evening. We know it is in spite of challenges that we are all facing due to the coronavirus pandemic. Your presence tonight not only warms our hearts, but we believe it is a testimony to the value that you place upon the Florida College experience that your children have had and that we pray other children and grandchildren will continue to be able to have. We understand, as you do, the critical importance of preserving this institution, and I would say to you, more now than ever in our history. So thank you for joining us this evening, masks and all. As we were getting settled for this ceremony, had we been doing it like we did the other 10, you would have heard the ringing of a bell. So I want you to imagine hearing the ringing of the bell on the back of Hutchinson Auditorium. Because if I had my choice, that's where we'd be. But tonight, due to the circumstances, we had to get in a bigger place where we could spread out more. So the bell is ringing, and it's calling us together for this assembly. That bell, as you know, was brought to campus many years ago by our president, James R. Cope, from the church building where he attended as a child in Sparta, Tennessee. And it has become a tradition and a traditional value for us. In fact, it is of such value that we've named our Alumni Association after that bell, and we call it, therefore, Hutchinson Bell. Members of that organization have in many cases helped many of these students to be here with their volunteer work and their fundraising efforts, and many of you in this audience are a part of that, and we want to thank you so much for that tonight as well. Tonight, each senior has been presented with 2 specially minted coins. One is a gift from the college as a sign of our appreciation for his or her commitment to us in completing a 4-year degree at this institution. We hope they will treasure that coin as a memory of their time together here with us. The second, however, is a gift for them to share with someone they wish to honor for having the greatest impact for good upon their lives while they were here at the college. Our seniors tonight have selected 36 different honorees this evening, a testimony to the different ones who have impacted so many different lives. It is our desire that when the student and the honoree look at their coins, their minds will be flooded with the precious memories that they made together while they shared their lives here at our beloved Florida College. Because this ceremony is for and about our seniors, we will go right into the presentations. As the seniors' names are called, they will come to the lectern, where they will have the opportunity to present their coin to their honoree. Under normal conditions, the honorees would come forward and there'd be lots of hugging. But tonight we're going to ask the honorees just to stand where you are when the student finishes his or her presentation to be recognized. Honorees will be given their coins later, and we'll announce about that at the conclusion of this ceremony. Again, thank you for being here, and let's now hear from our seniors tonight.
Ethan Bailey.
Ever since I was young, I remember my mom telling me this quote, and it says, "People will never care how much you know until they know how much you care." The person I'm honoring tonight has always cared about me, and I've known that from the start. I want to share with you a couple ways tonight that I know that she cares about me. The first reason I know she cares about me, and I think this quality is going to be exhibited by everyone's honoree in this auditorium, is that they listened. I don't know if a lot of people understand how big of an impact it is when you leave the nest for the first time, when you leave home for the first time, to have someone who truly listens, someone who's older, someone who's wiser, someone who understands life better than you do, that will just listen to you. You know, most people listen to respond. Most people listen to tell you your opinion. But this honoree tonight, she listened because she cared. She listened to help me. She listened to give me God's advice. She listened to give me spiritual rearing, I guess, to use a good term. No matter what this woman was doing, she always made time to listen to me, and I really have always appreciated that. Another reason that I always have known that she has cared is because she always told me what I needed to hear and not what I wanted to hear. And this is a concept that I've been thinking a lot about lately. I spoke about it at my brother Luke's wedding a couple weeks ago, but Proverbs 27, verse 5 through 6 says, "Better is open rebuke than hidden love. Faithful are the wounds of a friend, and profuse are the kisses of an enemy." Like I mentioned before, today, people in the world respond in one of two ways most of the time. One, they're either going to tell you what you want to hear, or two, they're going to listen so they can tell you their opinion or what they want you to hear. They don't listen for your best interest in mind a lot of times. They speak with their best interest in mind. And this person always listened to tell me what I needed to hear, not what she wanted me to hear, if that makes sense. I always have appreciated that her responses have been centered in the truth and in love. The last reason I want to share with you tonight about why I'm giving my coin to this honoree is because she had a servant's heart. It didn't matter what we were talking about. We could have just had a long, deep talk, a gut-wrenching talk, but she would always offer me a piece of cake most of the time. And I'm not sure if she was offering me that piece of cake to tell me that I needed to gain a couple pounds, she was trying to fatten me up, or if it was to like disengage the truth bomb she had just dropped on me and keep me from crying, or I don't know what it was. But her baking or her cake making was just one of the ways that I knew that she cared for others. She works many hours, long past 5 o'clock. She always takes time out of her day, whatever job she's working on, to talk to whoever, to take care of whatever kind of need arises at that time. And I've just appreciated her so much for that because, as we all know, servanthood is talked about throughout the gospel, and that is the main theme of a follower of Christ. And this woman has always been that for me. The last reason tonight that I'm honoring this person is because she reminds me of my mom. Like I said, she puts her family first. She puts other people first. I'm a little bit of a mama's boy. I hope my dad doesn't get too mad at me. I can't see his face right now because of the mask, and I'm glad for that. But my mom has always put her family before herself. And I see that in the woman I'm honoring tonight. My honoree tonight is a Christian. She truly wears the name of Christ in all that she does. Like I said, I'm a mama's boy, and this woman has been like a mother and a friend to me. She always told me just what I needed, and that's how I knew she cared. Tonight, I want to thank God, and I want to honor Miss Sharon Clark.
Suzanne Bell.
I have had many excellent professors during my time at Florida College, but when I considered who I wanted to honor tonight, there was one clear choice. Although I don't have an extremely close relationship with this professor, he has made a strong impact on me that I will always be grateful for. He was my advisor and he was my instructor for the classes that were of most interest to me. His insights have been invaluable for me as I begin to navigate a future career in psychology. By now, I'm sure you've gathered that the recipient of my coin is Dr. Dickey. One of the things I respect about him is how much he wants his students to truly care about what they are learning and to be more concerned with education and growth than with making an A. That has always worked great for me, especially since I don't ace every test or write the most profound papers. He has definitely helped me learn and sharpen my ability to ask good and thoughtful questions. I've always looked up to Dr. Dickey ever since I first had him as an instructor, but the more I sat at his feet, the more I became impressed by so many facets of who he is. Extensive knowledge of social sciences, business, and philosophy is just the tip of the iceberg. What has really impressed me more is Dr. Dickey's stubborn and strong faith in what can sometimes be a dark and daunting field of study. He is dedicated to the Lord and is able to expertly speak about social sciences from a perspective of a devout Christian. He has served the school tirelessly for 41 years. He has been a mentor and an inspiration for so many, and I sense that the example he set for me will stay with me throughout the rest of my education and into my career. He has received many coins over the 11 years this ceremony has taken place, and my coin is just another drop in the ocean. But there's no one else I'd rather honor tonight than Dr. Thaxter Dickey. Thank you.
Annie Black.
When I got down here to FC, I had stopped believing. I had stopped believing that it was possible to love God with your whole heart. Every action, every word, every thought, how on earth? I didn't think anybody could even get close. And then I got down here, and I was in the class of a professor who loves God with all his heart, who tries every moment to be an example of Christ, who is so passionate that sometimes he forgets simple daily things. And then I met his wife and started worshiping with them and realized that she loved God with all her heart by not following a checklist that she found, but by reaching out her hand to those who didn't even know her, for giving people hugs who she probably had never met before. I know I went to her with countless questions and tears and how do I accomplish this? And she loved God with her whole heart when she loved me. And Tommy and Christy Peeler would not claim to be perfect at this. They would not say that their whole heart is God's, but they're on a journey that they inspired me to start, because when I saw their lives, I started believing again that it was possible for me to love God with my whole heart. And they have lit a fire that I hope continues to burn in them and in me for as long as we live. Thank you so much.
Lacey Beth Black.
James Comer once said that no significant learning can occur without a significant relationship. If you're an education major, you've probably heard this in a lot of our classes because it's one of our favorite TED Talks by Rita Pearson. Before I even stepped onto Florida College's campus as a freshman, I already started forming a relationship with my coin recipient tonight. I was having some issues with my scheduling, so this professor called me and was willing to help me out during the summer because I was so stressed and I had no idea what to do, especially leaving home for the first time. I just wanted to get everything figured out. I then had this professor for the next 2 years for many different classes, and I enjoyed them very well. He was an amazing teacher and was always willing to answer all of the millions and millions of questions I had, and was always there to encourage me to do my best. I then had the opportunity to then worship with him at our local congregation here in Tampa. I was able to see him be an encouragement to me by leading song, leading prayer, and just being that encouragement, that spiritual encouragement that I needed. I'm not only thankful that he was an amazing teacher, but also that encouragement that I needed. I loved getting to know his family over the years. He has 4 younger kids, so it was nice getting to know them and getting to get close with his wife too, just to get that closer connection with the family. I can't begin to thank this person enough for everything that they've done for me, like Ethan said earlier, especially being that listening ear, because sometimes I do talk a lot, and I'm sorry about that. But he was always there to listen to me, always able to express my concerns, and was willing to help me out. So tonight, I would like to honor Mr. Michael Benson.
Jensen Butler.
I'm so thankful for Florida College and all of the wonderful professors who care so much about their students. And tonight I want to dedicate my coin to Mr. Benson. He has been such a wonderful example and leader and has truly helped me so much over the last 4 years. When I made mistakes, he offered advice on how to improve instead of dwelling on them. He helped me gain confidence in my teaching, and I would not be where I am today without his help. Thank you, Mr. Benson.
Paola Carrizosa Bermudez.
Five years ago, when I came into this country, I had a head full of dreams and expectations, with a lot of things to figure out and learn. Along all the excitement that I had, there was also a lot of fear. Fear of leaving my culture, my family, my home, who I was, and trying to figure out who I was gonna become. That is until someone here made me feel just like that, like I was home. And I mean it literally, like I was home. There are many things that you can say to a person that has helped and guided you for the past 5 years, and even before that. But the one thing that you can start with are 2 simple words. Thank you. Thank you for taking care of me when I needed it. Thank you for being my teacher inside and outside of the classroom. Thank you for your advice and for showing me how to serve others with your example. And the list goes on, but for time's sake, we'll just leave it here. During my time in FC, I had quite a few accidents, as those of you know me know. I broke my wrist, I had appendicitis, I had a couple of concussions. Their list also goes on and on. But that's to say that through all of those events and many others, these 2 people were with me in every single time, just one call away. That's how much of a servant's heart they have. I'm glad that I don't have to pick one of them because they are a package kind of deal. So tonight I want to honor Mr. and Mrs. Royce and Hope Chandler. And I want to tell you that you guys are always willing to help with a joyful heart. I'm glad that I got to be here and be part of your family. I want to thank you for all your patience, your guidance, your kindness, your love, and every single teaching that you have given me in my life. Thank you for teaching me to endure and to hold on to God tight in anything, even when the circumstances are extremely hard. Thank you for being my home. Thank you for opening your home to me. But more than anything, thank you for encouraging me every single step of the way. And thank you both for the incredible impact that you have caused in my life. I will never have enough words to tell you how grateful I am for you and how much I love you.
John Carter.
When I was thinking about who I wanted to give my coin to, there were a few people that came to my mind, obviously. When I came to FC, I don't think I really expected to be impacted academically and spiritually by so many encouraging people. Academically, there's a ton of people that I could give my coin to, and that's fantastic. But there's one person that stood out to me and who's been both an encouragement and a friend, truly, to me. I started working in the mailroom my sophomore year, and I continued to work there until about halfway through my senior year. And even though there were days where maybe I didn't enjoy the work so much, it was still really, really fun because of this person. My boss, Donald McClendon, most of you know him as Mr. Donald. He made my time at FC better than I could have ever thought of. Not only was he such a wonderful spiritual example for me, but I can truly call him a close and dear friend to me. If you know Mr. Donald, you know that he's probably one of the most kind-hearted and giving people that I've ever met. I can truly wholeheartedly say that. He does things for people that by no means does he have to do, but he does it, and I have never heard the man complain. That is a trait that I strive to have. Every day that I spent with Donald, he always made my day brighter with his demeanor, while also demonstrating just complete and utter servitude by his eagerness and willingness to help anybody who calls on him for anything. Donald has helped me countless times in so many different ways. He'll give me a place to stay if I'm in town and I don't have anybody. He'll take me to go eat at his favorite barbecue place. He'll do anything, and that's why I love him, and that's why I am honoring him tonight and giving him my coin.
Tim Chandler.
There was a man named Eco who once said, "I believe that what we become depends on what our fathers teach us at odd moments when they aren't trying to teach us. We are formed by little scraps of wisdom." I have to admit that when I first came to FC, I had a few reservations about coming here, particularly with the fact that my family is trying to take over the school one position at a time. And part of that reservation was the fact that my dormitory would be sharing the same parking lot as my father's office building, and that if he wanted to, even if he didn't want to, he could have eyes and ears everywhere on campus at his disposal. But, however, when I was going, he was very supportive and reassuring of letting me have my own space. So much so, in fact, that by now I'm realizing that he might have known more of the stupid stuff I was doing and just chosen to stay out of it, to his credit. However, that time that we had apart together, let me take a step back from under the umbrella of parental monitorization and take a slightly more parallel view of the man my dad was. And over time, I realized that his perspective and his advice, even his past disciplines and critique, and all his little scraps of wisdom were worth a whole lot more than I originally gave them credit for. And now looking back on my FC years and the way my dad was a part of them, I realized not only was he a great logistical help when I let stuff fall through the cracks, which never happens anymore, but I found him to be a good mentor and a good friend. And I took a greater notice of his example that he set from a distance. And in the time I've known him, before and during college, I've seen that my father is a man who minds the way he carries himself, but he pays closer attention to the loads that he can carry for others. He's a gifted and articulate speaker, but he understands the importance of listening and consideration. He's very good at it. And he's a peacemaker, but he knows how to firmly stand his ground, even when his own family won't stand with him quite yet. And with a whole lot of help from my mom, he has remained a consistent and Christ-like example for me, even when I'm not quite willing to recognize it yet. And I still have a lot to learn from him, but I figured tonight, who better to give my coin to than the man who, from the beginning, has been showing me how to be one myself. So, Dad, this one goes to you.
Cassidy Kaufman.
The man I am presenting my coin to today has been my professor and my preacher for the last several years. One of the things that has amazed me most about him is his genuine concern for other people and for myself. Whether it was his persistent interest in my love life or his genuine concern for my well-being, he was always there to lend a listening ear or give a piece of advice. It was evident that he deeply cared for everyone that he talked to and that he wanted to help them as best as he could. Him and his wife would also have the college students over every Sunday night so we could have our own Bible study, and they also fed us, and feeding a bunch of college students is no small feat either. Not only is this man incredibly caring, but he always is looking for an opportunity to share the gospel. Evangelism may be part of a preacher's job description, but no one has inspired me to reach out to others as much as he has. He showed me that a Christian should always have a desire to talk about Jesus, and that opportunities don't just have to be taken, but can be created as well. One evening, as the college students were having a devotional at his house, I told him I had had a graduate school interview the past weekend, and he jokingly asked me if they had asked me any questions about the prophets, and I laughed and I said no. But as I was writing the speech and thinking about all the lessons and all the classes that I've been through and everything that he's taught me, I realized that what he has taught me is far more important than anything I would need for graduate school. He taught me how to be a servant of Christ and to others, and he showed me what it means to be in this world but not of it. From prophets to the kings to Lex Talionis, he has greatly impacted my life in many ways, and I am very thankful for him and his family. So I am presenting my coin to Mr. Peeler.
Brent Dyer.
Like Annie, I came to FC daunted by some of the things that we read in the Bible. One of them especially was in Psalm 19, or in Psalm 119, when the psalmist writes about his deep, fervent love for the scripture, more than honey, more than gold. And I was like, how do you love the Bible that much? And then, a couple weeks ago, we were reading in the Psalms, and we read back through those Psalms, and suddenly I was like, I get that. And I don't know at what point that transition happened in me, from the point where I didn't understand to the point that I did. But when I was here at FC, as I reflect back on my time here, there was really one person more than anyone who has really developed in me a fervent love for the scriptures. And when he opens his mouth, you know he's got a deep knowledge of the Bible. And it's not just the sheer abundance of knowledge, but it's the way that he makes the Old Testament sing through the lens of Jesus. And you wonder, did you also study at the feet of Gamaliel? But it's not just that. Despite how amazing he is, he's one of the humblest people I know, a true embodiment of Jesus' poor in spirit. His heart is as warm as his many bread ovens, and his deep dish pizza is better than Giordano's in Chicago, no contest. The way that he loves his wife and his children is a true testament to service to God through love for your family, and has taught me so much. And it is my deep pleasure and honor to thank Dr. Tom Hamilton.
Leah Dyer.
All right. Tonight, I would like to give my coin to a professor who had a great impact on my time at FC. This person is an excellent teacher and a wonderful person. He always integrated best practices for teaching, which helped the classes be interesting and gave those of us in education courses a good model of what we should do in our own classrooms. He was always fair and respectful to all of us, and I am confident that he never asked us to do anything he wasn't willing to do himself. If you didn't notice his bright yellow car, then you could recognize him around campus from his big smile and extra large cup of Dunkin' coffee. The man loves his Dunkin'. By this point, I'm sure many of you know that I'm talking about Mr. Jonathan Barler. Mr. Barler was not only a great teacher, but went above and beyond for his students. He would often invite us over to his house for class parties and come to different student events and shows on campus. He is the kind of teacher who's available to help no matter how crazy busy he is. I would often go to Mr. Barler if I was worried about an assignment, stressed about a lesson I had to teach, or freaking out about if teaching was right for me. He was always there to listen and offer encouragement or assistance. So thank you to Mr. Barler for teaching me so much and for being an encouragement to me. You have given me a lot of the skills and confidence to begin my own journey as an educator.
Peyton Ellsworth.
I didn't grow up in the Church of Christ. I actually grew up Methodist, so coming to FC was very interesting because they have their own culture and everybody kind of knew each other already growing up. My honoree made me feel very welcome and would often call me into his office, which originally I thought I was always going to get in trouble for, but usually it was just to talk and he would give me chocolate. But when I was a freshman, I was actually very ill and was at school with a feeding tube taped to my nose and had to be pushed around in a wheelchair. But I always really appreciated how my honoree would take the time to actually ask how I was really doing. So I'd like to honor Dr. Ray Madrigal, and unfortunately he cannot be here tonight, but I know he's watching.
Jarrett Ferguson.
Back in November, the cross-country team competed at the Disney Classic in Orlando, Florida. And it was a big race for us. It was kind of like the final meet before the conference meet, so we knew we had to show up and do well. But with about a mile left to go in the race, as we entered the most difficult part of the course, away from the crowds who cheer you on, I felt like I was about ready to give up. My legs were collapsing. My lungs were just about out of air. And so I'm about ready to quit until all of a sudden I see someone running toward me out of the corner of my eye and then up alongside me. And I realized it was actually my coach, which I don't even know if that's legal or not. But he just came right alongside me and started matching me stride for stride. And as he ran alongside me, he was just pumping me up, just right in my ear, don't quit, don't give up. And it ended up being a good race. Everybody did okay, and it worked out well. But I've thought about that race a lot since that moment, or really in the moment, because I felt like it captured how blessed I am to have the mentor that I did these past 4 years. My first season, he was actually my team captain. My sophomore year, he became the head coach. And then for the past 2 years, he's continued on as an assistant for the cross-country team. And through those different roles, and through those years, he's become more than just a coach or a teammate, but really like an older brother to me, the person that I wanted to be like in every way. Since freshman year, I've looked up to you in your athletic ability and first place finishes and things like that. But more than that, your leadership, your servitude, your courage, your devotion to truth, your love for God and for his people. And in all those things, I've wanted to become just like you. And while I know that I've probably let you down a lot, especially this last season, it was an honor to try and run in those footsteps. Because just like that race back in November, you pushed me further than I ever thought that I could go, and you helped me every step of the way. And I don't think my honoree was able to make it tonight, but I couldn't think of anybody better to honor than my teammate, my friend, my coach, and my brother in Christ, Josh Keenan.
Aaron Friesmeyer.
I can't believe it's been 4 years. 4 years since I first walked onto this campus. I was thinking about it recently. I thought about how I was very nervous when I came to this school. I mean, I knew some people here, but like with college, it's a different ball game from high school. This person was somebody I met on the first day. He was one of the first people that I talked to, and from day one, I could tell he was a sincere and genuine man. This man I would see almost every single day. He offered to help me out when I needed help the most. when Irma hit, for instance, I was able to go and charge my phone and take a shower because the water was out in the school. And he also let me come and stay at his house when the school wasn't open yet. And he's done so much more for me that I can't even think of right now, that I'll probably remember after I'm done giving it this. But this man, I see him every day, and his smile and his demeanor and his humor are what kept me going every day that I was at this school. And there's no other person I would want to give this coin to than Donald McClendon.
Jared Greer.
Adam Olson is one of the most hardworking and admirable people I have ever met. Like Jesus, Adam embodies the heart of a servant, and his character is rooted in humility, generosity, compassion, sacrifice, and conscientiousness. Time and again, he's exhibited all of these qualities to me in innumerable ways. That being said, when I first met Adam, I was actually incredibly intimidated by him. And I had never interacted with him until he hired me to run lights for the Friends in 2015. And he's actually not all that scary. I'm just easily intimidated, and he was my boss. And when I was first hired, there were a few questions I had for him. So I started to write him an email in between a couple of my classes. And as I was typing the email into my phone, Adam passed me in the hallway and kindly greeted me. And that would have been a perfect opportunity to scrap the email and just ask him the questions in person. But I was scared of talking to him, so I just responded with a polite hello and continued to write this email. And it's funny looking back on that now, because as time went on, I learned that I had nothing to be afraid of. And for the last 5 years, Adam has treated me with profound respect and kindness. And today I see Adam as a great friend, and I'm extremely grateful for all of the counsel and the consolation that he's extended to me. My sophomore year at FC, I hit a rough patch with my faith, and Adam was always there to help. I had a lot of questions, and whether it was over text, over the phone, or in person, Adam always found a way to field those questions and offer me wisdom and moral support. His answers were always remarkably informed, insightful, and helpful. And then another summer, a few years back, I hit a rough patch with my mental health, and I was suffering from some pretty debilitating anxiety and compulsive behavior, and was eventually diagnosed with OCD. And during this summer, Adam was an immense help to me. He invited me over weekly, sometimes multiple times a week that summer, to share meals with his family or to participate in Bible studies, and he worked incredibly hard to keep me in a positive headspace, and even referred me to a counselor who was able to help me further. And I didn't know this until later, but he also kept in contact with my family regularly that summer and updated them on how I was doing, which my parents greatly appreciated. And Adam also helped my family out during the fall break of 2016 by bringing me to get my wisdom teeth removed. Although, while I was doped up on anesthesia, he convinced me that the surgeon actually put more teeth in. As you can see, Adam has been there for me at my lowest and quite literally my highest. I can never repay him for all the things he's done for me, and I'm constantly amazed at the extent to which he puts the interests of others before his own. Adam, thank you so much for your guidance and your friendship. I love you, and I'm so glad that I can honor you with this coin tonight.
April Hagewood.
I met the person that I'm honoring tonight more than 10 years ago at Disney World on our family vacation. And our friendship had started in 2010, and we're still going. So he is one of the biggest reasons that I'm here. I knew from a young age that I wanted to go to FC, but if it weren't for him texting me saying, "Did you fill out your application? Did you do this, this, and this?" then I would not be here today. He is a servant, and I know this because he gives countless hours to this school, and he loves this school so much. I know that if I ever needed anything, I would come into his office and say, "Help, I'm out of money," and he would be so helpful to me. And he would always drop anything he was doing to make sure that I was okay and to offer a smile and a hug. Remember when we could hug people? He's also very compassionate, and he has so much compassion for others, and he cares for other people like they're himself. He's also my number one hype man. I always know that I can go to him and tell him my plans, and that he's going to be so encouraging to me. And he always checks in on me. So anytime there is a hurricane or coronavirus or anything, I always knew I was going to get a text from him saying, "Are you okay? Do you have everything you need?" And I always say, if you want to know how to look out for your people and care for others, you look at Clay Soto. And that's him giving my coin to tonight.
And Alyssa Harden.
I would like to share with you all 3 things I've learned from someone who has been a valued teacher, mentor, and friend to me at Florida College. This mentor of mine, through words and by example, taught me that the wisdom of God is infinite. Listening to many of this professor's class lectures and chapel talks has given me a deeper appreciation for just how much God's wisdom surpasses our understanding, yet also clarifies our perception of the world and gives meaning to our lives. This individual has also taught me that a little bit of thought can take you a long way. Taking the time to reason and ask good questions is valuable not only in the classroom, but in everyday life. Finally, I learned that the pursuit of what you are passionate about is worth the challenge it will present. This mentor gave me confidence in the plans I had made for the future. I have been blessed to receive guidance and validation from this professor that have helped me establish purpose and direction for my life. Mr. Todd Chandler, I've learned so much from you by recognizing your godly example in the way you lead your life and your family. I value the instruction and advice that has contributed to bringing me where I am today. Thank you for shaping my life for the better.
Luke Hurd.
President John F. Kennedy once said, "As we express our gratitude, we must never forget the highest appreciation is not to utter words, but to live by them." So let me begin by expressing my gratitude. Thank you for investing time in me, because I know that there are plenty other places that you could have invested it. Thank you for talking to me whenever I needed advice, because I know that I need it often. Thank you for having patience with me while I was growing, and for teaching me ways to grow in ways that I hadn't thought of yet. Thank you for teaching me when I needed to listen. Thank you for listening to me when I needed a friend to hear. Speaking is wonderful. It brings you a lot of joy. It can make the heart feel warm. But let me show you what I've learned by showing others what you have shown to me. I will care as you have cared for me. I will listen as you have listened to me. I will take the time that I have been gifted and use it in true service to our God, just as you have shown me to do. I love what the inside of our little coin thing says. It says, "In recognition of the impact one life can have on another." Let this coin be a token of my gratitude and a representation of the impact that you have had on me. Give this coin to you, my mentor, my coach, and my friend, PJ Anderson.
Abby Hudson.
The recipient of my coin is Miss Andrea Hastings. For those of you that didn't have the pleasure of taking a class with her, she teaches math, and she had the difficult task of being my advisor. When people ask what my degree is and I tell them it's focused in math education, most people have the reaction, "Ew, gross," or "You're so brave." When I told Miss Hastings what I wanted to do, she said something like, "Oh, good, we need more math teachers." The only problem was FC didn't have a secondary math education program. Even though transferring seemed like the most logical thing to do, I couldn't leave FC just yet. I was determined to stay for 4 years, and Miss Hastings made it happen for me. I will spare you the details of figuring out my degree plan, but I assure you it wasn't an easy task. We essentially created it from scratch, and I didn't hear Miss Hastings complain once. She spent hours helping me rearrange my schedule, getting approval for USF classes, and even helping create a brand new class just for me and Beth. She stuck with me through it all, helped me achieve my goal of attending FC for 4 years and pursuing a degree in math education. She's an excellent role model, a friend to everyone, an advocate for all her students, and I'm very thankful that through FC I was able to form a relationship with her. I wouldn't have been able to do any of it without the help of my friend, Miss Hastings.
Cynthia Jennings.
The person I have the pleasure of honoring tonight is a woman who exemplifies service, wisdom, and a listening ear. If it were not for her, I would not be standing here in front of you tonight. I have spent hours in her office for advice and encouragement. Miss Shannon McKinney, thank you for always bringing a smile to my face. Thank you for pushing me and believing in me. Thank you for being a godly example to me. And thank you for being my person. I am forever grateful that our Lord blessed me with you, and I love you more than you know. And for that, I would love to present you my coin.
Elliot Johnson.
I don't remember when I met my honoree, but I remember what happened, and I remember how I felt afterwards. Uncomfortable. This smelly, short, knobbly old man walked up to me and introduced himself, and he asked me if I wanted to go play racquetball and get dinner. So basically, this guy walked up to me and asked me on a date. I mean, I said yes, of course. It was college and it was free food. And the night was humiliating. I mean, as anyone knows, the most humiliating possible thing for a, young, studly college guy like me is to be absolutely destroyed in a sport by a 1,000-year-old wearing knee pads. On the upside, though, the dinner was great. But this awful thing kept happening while I was with him. He made me feel really weird. And it wasn't because he was weird, it was because he knew why he was weird. And I didn't know why I was normal, much less weird. He forced me to look inside myself and see that many of the normal parts of me were only normal because I was conforming myself to the world and other people's expectations of what I should be. He made me see that I needed to become a little more weird myself. As Romans 2:2 says, "Do not conform any longer to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will." My honoree lives that, and thanks to him, I do my best to as well. Everyone, please give a big hand for John Shirley.
Sean Kempf.
What is the worth of one relationship? Well, if Christianity and Florida College, which endeavors to model it, taught me anything, a relationship is worth the value of eternity. A relationship the interactions between two individuals made in the image of God, has eternal worth. Despite all the temporal obsessions of this life that we engross ourselves in, right? The pursuit of our degree, the pursuit of our job, pursuit of our hobbies, it's our relationships that alone have eternal worth. And it's the eternal worth of relationships in this temporal life that have eternal consequences. Our relationships can either be positive or negative, and as a result can push us in one direction or the other. Either further realization of God's grace as we become unshackled, liberated, set free from bondage, the vices of sin, or further self-degradation as we backslide into anger, fear, and isolation. So I'll ask again, what is the worth of one relationship? As one who came from a background of much personal error and one who still presently struggles, I've had my share of negative relationships. Relationships that even though, although still negative, still taught me that there was worth in them. So how much more was the worth of one relationship taught to me when I've enjoyed the blessings of a positive relationship? Blessings of having a father in the faith, someone who I've been able to vent to over and over again about my struggles in this new way of life, someone who has been able to help me to preach and teach, someone who has been equipping me to serve in the church, the new body of my life. Blessings of having a friend in the faith, someone to discuss the world's affairs with within the worldview of our shared biblical foundation, someone to make biblical jokes with, someone to even roast each other with. And the blessings of having a preacher in the faith, someone who will call out my steps on the narrow path, reteach me when needed, and help redirect me when needed. Jason Longstreth has shared these blessings of such one positive relationship, teaching me the eternal worth of relationships. I'm glad that Christianity has taught me the path of hope and making more positive relationships. I'm glad that Florida College is known for the blessings of making many such positive relationships, and I am blessed that I was able to make this one. Thank you, brother Jason Longstreth. It's my coin I give to you.
Nick Maley.
All right, so I have a lot of people that I'd like to thank tonight, and I don't have a lot of time, so I'm just going to get right into it. I'd first off like to thank my parents for all their love and support. I wouldn't be here without them and everything that they've done for me. I'd like to thank my friends for they just made my time at FC the greatest that it could possibly be. And I'd also like to thank my wonderful wife for all the motivation and help that she gave me while we were dating here. I want to thank Mrs. Judy Bertram for being such an amazing woman and friend to me with all of her support. It's meant the world to me all 4 years that I've been here. FC has helped me so much in so many ways, so many that I can't even count. And so I'd like to also thank all of my adopted parents who have supported me financially just to allow me to even attend here. Being a history major, I spent more time than I really would have preferred to in the library. And I would like to take 1 minute to thank Mrs. Dickey, Miss Kearney, and the rest of the library staff. They have gone out of their way on more occasions than I can account to get me the books that I needed for papers. They really want to help all students, and they go out of their way to do so. So I'd like to thank them for that. I would like to thank Dee and Renee for being such great dorm parents. They've had to deal with a lot of really dumb stuff, living in the same building as a bunch of college guys. But they're so wonderful and have been just absolutely wonderful to have around in the dorm. I'd like to tell them thank you. I would like to thank all of the Bible faculty at FC. They really are incredible. I'd especially like to thank Dr. Hamilton and Mr. Peeler. I've had so many classes with the both of them, and they have both had a tremendous impact on me and my spiritual growth here at FC, so I'd really like to thank them and the whole Bible faculty as a whole. I am an education minor, and in my time here, I've had a lot of classes with both Mr. Mike Benson and Mr. Jonathan Barler. I would like to thank them both really quick because they have been outstanding role models of how to be a teacher. I hope that I can just be half the teachers that they are. They're fantastic. I would like to thank Dr. Jonathan Chilcote. He was my advisor here, and he has helped me with so many problems, decisions in my life, and he was a great mentor and role model to me here. I would also like to thank Dr. Brian Crispell, also one of my history teachers here. I had a class with him almost every single semester. He is one of the most genuine, good-hearted people that you'll ever meet, and he's had a tremendous impact on me. Both of the men that I just mentioned, Dr. Jonathan Chilcote and Dr. Brian Crispell, both of these men have done so much for me here. I've had a class with each of them almost every semester. They've been great examples of how to be a good teacher, good husbands, and most importantly, good men of the faith. Like I mentioned before, Dr. Chilcote was my advisor, and so I talked a lot with him in his office about academic decisions, life decisions, just life in general. I was Dr. Crispell's SI this past year, and so I had a lot of meetings with him. Our meetings consisted usually of about 10 minutes of SI stuff, and then the other 45 minutes was about baseball and how the Cardinals are a despicable organization in general. But anyway, both of these men have helped me in more ways than I can count, and I don't know if I'm allowed to do this, but I'm about to. So I would just like to present a coin to both Dr. Jonathan Chilcote and Dr. Brian Crispell. So thank you very much.
Bailey McBride.
Each year of my Florida College journey, I was blessed to have this person as a professor. My first semester, I had personal finance with him. I quickly noticed that this wasn't any old class. This professor had a passion like no other for balancing checkbooks and understanding stocks. From the start, I noticed that this professor had a very unique light that shined through his friendly composure and bright smiling face. That made not so interesting topics a joy to learn. Titus 2:7-8 says, "Show yourself in all respects to be a model of good works, and in your teaching show integrity, dignity, and sound speech." This professor never failed to be a model of good works, showing integrity and dignity in his numerous stories of Disney, Vulcan Materials, and Hughes Aircraft. Through my 3 years sitting at his feet, I began to be able to finish his stories. I mean, it's cool and all to know the punchline of his Disney churro cart story, but what's even more cooler is the priceless life lessons these stories have taught me and will always stick with me through the rest of my life. Thank you for showing me it's possible to be a shining light in God's kingdom, wherever your career may take you. Thank you for the faith and hope you have in every student that walks through your door. Thank you for showing me that enthusiasm can be contagious. Thank you for showing me keeping your door open to my never-ending school and career questions. I cannot thank you enough for going above and beyond your job description and giving more grace to your students than any of us deserve. You've motivated me to the career heights I have achieved thus far, and because of your help, I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. Thank you for all you are and all you do. Mr. Brian Gilliam.
Nicholas Marrow.
Deciding who to give my senior coin to was not an easy decision, because looking out among the faces of the many faculty members at Florida College, there have been many people who've played an impact during my time at FC. However, there is one individual who has made a significant impact on me my last 4 years at Florida College. Mr. Paramore has been my academic advisor since day one of freshman year, and he has always sought to go the extra mile for me. Whether it was making sure I got in the right classes, kept up on my grades, sending me a text to see how I was doing, always keeping up on me, giving relationship advice. Mr. Paramore has truly gone above and beyond for me. Over the past 4 years, you have been many things to me: an advisor, a coach, a teacher, a leader, someone who I aspire to be. But most of all, you've been a friend. And I can't thank you enough for all that you've done for me. So I would like to present tonight Mr. Paramore, senior coin.
Noah Montgomery.
I don't have a speech. I was supposed to be prepared for this. I'm usually so prepared for everything. I'm not good at making stuff up on the spot. I left my coin over there. It said who I'd give this to. I'm just gonna have to make it up. So, as an education major for the last 4 years, I've been learning about preparing, doing lesson plans, getting things ready. And usually I'm so great at that. You guys know how great I am at being prepared. So my coin recipient obviously knows, I would not make this up on the spot. So I had a few facts I wanted to share about this person that we have in common. Both of us, during our time at FC, were KO presidents. We were Mr. FC at one point. We have, I think, together 4 children in all. I think that's right. So basically, Mr. Benson, I am so thankful that you have put up with me falling asleep in the middle of you answering a question in class. I swear it wasn't you, it was the 9:15. Honestly, there's nobody else who I could give this coin to, because you really saved me that last semester, really picked me up when I wasn't prepared, and you said, hey, Noah, get prepared, or, graduation doesn't happen, and I'm like, okay, I'll get prepared. So I'm really thankful for all that you've done for me. Honestly, if you guys have had a Mr. Benson class, you will know that this man, he works so hard to make that deep connection and really make what he's teaching come to life. And so I'm very thankful for all that you do, all of the me you put up with. So thanks, Mr. Benson.
Kerwicken Morpas.
Well, I'm not really good at public speaking, but here it goes. So the person that I want to give my coin to is Shannon McKinney. I want to give her my coin because she's had a major impact in my academic career while I've been here at Florida College. She's been an incredible advisor for me since my freshman year when I first came here. I didn't really know anybody. The only person that I knew was my coach, because he was an elder at my church back home, and he convinced me to come here. But it just seemed that everybody just knew each other and they knew all their families, and I was just like, well, okay. But anyways, I really appreciate her because throughout the whole time that I've been here, I always knew that I could go to her office, and it felt really at home. And she would always talk to me, and we would work it out and see what I want to do in my future. and we just plan out everything for me to do. And I just want you to know that I really appreciate you for all the things that you've done for me, and that you've always checked up on me, even after when I was done with Florida College. Like right now, when I'm at PTA school, you'll email me and see how I'm doing with the whole coronavirus and everything. And I just want you to know I appreciate that a lot. Thank you.
Preston Nichols.
So tonight I'm going to be giving my coin to Dr. Saltz, or almost Dr. Saltz, I guess, to be technical. But Saltz often quotes Luke 16:10 in many of his classes, and he quotes the section of the scripture that says, one who is faithful in little is also faithful in much. And you know, this passage, it emphasizes that faith is most often expressed in those little minute details of life. And more often than not, our faith is going to be tested in smaller ways than really grand gestures. And so when we when we're faithful in these little moments of life, we really set ourselves up to be able to stand up in these big moments. And since I've known Jared Saltz, I've seen that he really does live by this truth. He's faithful in much, but most especially, he's faithful in little, especially unglamorous moments of life that might normally are not seen as very important. And I don't think this Saltz has ever been thrown into a fiery furnace, or he's never slain a giant, and he's never been stoned, even though some people in his class might have wanted to stone him. But I have seen him go out of his way for students that might have gone overlooked, or maybe they were misunderstood, and he reached out to them and he made a difference to them. I've seen his faith by the care that he puts into every single class that he has, because he knows that he's preparing the next generation of the church, and he cares about how the future of the kingdom. And I think most importantly, I think that I've seen his faith and his care for his family, even when that meant riding to and from all the way to St. Pete to go to a hospital to take care of his daughter Abigail when she was sick, and then driving all the way early in the morning to come and be at FC so he could teach and he could continue to care for his students as well. And so throughout these last 4 years, Saltz has really impacted me more ways than just in the classroom. He's taught me intellectually about the Word of God, but he's also taught me practically through his example as well. He's taught me what it means to be a good teacher, a good friend, a husband, a father, and a follower of Christ. Coming to Florida College has always been a dream of mine, and I was so excited to come and to make friends with all of you guys and to make awesome memories. But, you know, if you would have told me that 4 years ago one of my best friends after I graduated would be one of my teachers, I probably wouldn't have believed you. But I'm definitely thankful for my time here at Florida College and the impact that Professor Saltz has had on me. And I'm going to carry all the lessons that you taught me these last 4 years in and out of the classroom wherever I go now. So I just want to thank you for all these long talks we had in the class or in the classroom or in your office, for letting me be your SI, for introducing me to Kugel. If you haven't tried it, you should. It's pretty good. For all those early morning workouts and making me get up at 5:30. That was a pretty fun time. But for really just taking me under a wing and for letting me kind of sit at your feet and learn a lot from you. So thank you for being a friend and a brother, and I appreciate you. Thank you.
Anna Palmer.
I used to wonder how it was that God showed his love, and I've finally come to know that it's through his people serving without expecting anything in return. And that sacrificial love is something I felt every day on this campus. For the last 4 years, God has used the FC faculty to care for and support me during every high and low of college. The education professors, the Chris Spells, the Pettys, the Bassetts, the Hesters are just a few who have impacted me personally. All of these people have acted as parents, friends, teachers, coaches, and mentors when I've needed it. But there's one lady in particular who has a special place in my heart and that is Mrs. Amy Hester. Sophomore year, our interactions were limited to her reprimanding my friends and I for our loud music, so I wasn't too sure if we were going to be pals. But fast forward to junior year, I became a dorm monitor, and that's when she truly lived up to the title of dorm mom for me. We spent many nights holding down the Jennifer fort, and she always knew when I needed a listening ear, a snack, a laugh, advice, or a hug. I feel privileged to love and to be loved by such a special friend. Miss Amy, thank you for loving me unconditionally. You've shaped me in many positive ways, and I'll always hold our memories near to my heart.
Laura Pinto Paez.
One of the beautiful things about FC is how willing the faculty is to go out of their way to help you with anything you need. And the people I choose to honor today did just that and more. I would not be here standing if it wasn't for them. I wouldn't even be in this country if it wasn't for them. I decided to choose Royce and Hope Chandler because they are two amazing individuals who believed in me from the beginning. As many of you know, I am from Spain, and getting accepted to Florida College was not an easy task. I remember when I had to take my English exam in order to be accepted here. I was so nervous, and unfortunately, I did not get to pass, but Royce made sure to talk to some people so that they could reconsider my situation. He didn't need to do that, but he did it anyways, and it was because of him that I was accepted to Florida College and approved to be in the adult program. Royce worked really hard every year to raise money for so many international students. I was one of them, and that's something I will never forget. Royce and Hope Chandler became really special people in my life, and they treated me like family. They opened their home to me when I needed it the most. They invited me to their family gatherings, and they even took me to the doctors. So yes, I choose to give you this coin because you have made it possible for me to study here and meet so many wonderful friends and professors. The experiences I have lived here have made my life better on so many levels. So I want to thank you for showing me God's mercy through your kindness, sincere love, godly example. I love you both so much. Thank you.
Emily Roberts.
Okay, so I wanted to keep this short and sweet, no pun intended. I'm giving my coin to Mr. Todd Chandler for his dedication to the success of his students. I first met Mr. Chandler as a junior in high school when he sat down with me to talk about my path towards grad school. His desire to see me achieve my goals has continued even after FC with his ongoing support and with helping me throughout my grad school applications. I just want to thank you again, and you're the man.
Anthony Robin. Andrew Robin.
I've had a lot of educators over my many years. Most of my life up to this point, of course, has been spent in being educated. And I've had a lot of educators who have shown me so much respect. Every single individual that I've met here at FC, staff, faculty member, or otherwise, has treated me with the utmost respect. But there was one individual that stood out to me quite uniquely because it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to meet someone that was not just my teacher, but someone I could go to have actual discussion, not just to ask questions to, but someone I could actually think about the deeper things in life with. Someone that I could make assertions with and would actually listen to those assertions and consider them. It was very special to me and very different, because this person felt more to me like a friend than really a teacher. Someone that I would go and talk to after nearly every class because something we talked about in class had brought something up that I really wanted to talk about. He values discussion about as much as I do, and so that allowed us to hit it off pretty well. And on top of everything else, he has actually played intramural sports with me over the years. He's constantly wanting to be a friend to the students, whether he would like them to know it or not. And he, on top of everything else, I mean, what else could you want? He drives a motorcycle all the time. And so while I may not have been his first choice to be his SI for a year, he was my first choice to receive my legacy coin, and that's why I'm giving my coin to the one and only Dr. Dilbeck.
And now, Anthony Robin.
Thank you. Well, when I came to FC, I didn't really know where my life was going exactly. I mean, I was a Christian. I knew that that was my path no matter what, but I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life as far as employment, even as far as what I wanted to get out of Florida College. I didn't know that I wanted to pursue a history degree until I came here and I realized that I was passionate about that sort of thing. And I'd like to thank Dr. Chilcote and Dr. Crispell for all of the work that they did throughout the years in helping me figure that out and showing me the complexities of what history is and how much you can enjoy it and where God fits into that. But so many people over here have changed my life for the better, more than just what I want to do for work. Just looking out among the crowd, Dr. Bassett showed me how much he could be passionate about his students, that he would put in dozens, hundreds of hours to put into a musical just to shave his head in front of everybody and then critique his own singing when he would look back at it just to gain money to help people go with him to Sweden. And so many other people, the Bible professors, show me more and more what it means to love God, more and more what it means to daily read your Bible, to look into it and better understand who God is. But one thing that really stood out to me is when I came to Florida College, I didn't think about being a teacher at all. I knew that I enjoyed history, but when it came to the second year, I had to decide what my minor was going to be. And I naturally chose education because that just makes sense, being a history major. But when I took Intro to Education with Mr. Benson, it was the first time that I realized I had not only a degree path, but a career path in which I could exemplify Christ every day. And Mr. Benson showed me what that was like when I was in his class every day. And I first realized that this path that I was setting out on really made sense. And it really showed me who Christ could be in my life and what I did. And so I'd like to thank Mr. Benson and present him my coin for showing me all of those things and what being a teacher really means.
Emily Roche.
First of all, I want to make this speech brief, unlike the many times I've barged into your office over the years. But secondly, there are so many things I could thank you and Catherine for. First, for always being willing to listen, whether it was a question from class, problems in my dorm, or even my thoughts on Little Women. You've always listened with open ears. For always telling me what I needed, not wanted to hear, even if that was just suck it up and do the thing, which was true more often than I'd like to admit. For taking care of me during a really hard time. You guys made this year a lot more bearable for me. For for opening up your home countless times for movie nights and Passover Seder, for entrusting me to look after your amazing girls. Shout out to Hadassah for the fabulous makeovers and Abigail for her hilarious jokes. And finally, for affirming me and so many women in this audience in our place in God's kingdom. I've often felt like there was no room for me on this campus or in the church, but you have always put a careful emphasis in your ministry on our calling and glory that God has given us in his kingdom. And no matter how many times you said it, I always needed to hear it. So for all of this and more, and for everything you've done to help me get here today, thank you, Professor Zaltz.
Sadie Rose.
When I thought of who I should give my senior coin to, one of my professors quickly came to mind. This professor is one that has taught me the most, and not only because I took almost every class that he offered. I learned valuable lessons from this professor that are applicable to all areas of my life. I also spent the most time with this professor, probably, although that might be due to the fact that I was his secretary for 3.5 years, which is an opportunity that I am beyond grateful to have had. And I will be the first to say, I was not a very good secretary. I put off most of my work until the very last of the month, so I will apologize for that. Whether it was the lessons he taught me in the classroom or the grace and understanding he showed me outside of it, he proved to be a great example of what a mentor should be. I knew I could always depend on him or go to him for any questions that I had, even if the question was something crazy like what he thought about ghosts or something, I don't know. All in all, I look up to and respect this person greatly, and I know he has had a notable influence on not only my growth as a student, but also as a person in general. That is why tonight I would like to present my coin to Dr. Thaxter Dickey. Thank you for everything.
Ethan Sink.
The best teachers teach their students to be perpetual learners. Many teachers at FC do this very well, but tonight I choose to give my coin to Mr. Jared Saltz to thank him for passing on that most valuable lesson to me. A couple years ago, I had just completed my first year at FC, and I was planning to stay for just one more year. But somehow I felt like I still had a lot of questions, and I wanted more answers, and so I wanted to take more Bible classes than my schedule would allow. And Mr. Saltz, of course, encouraged me to just stay an entire extra year at FC to take Bible classes. And normally I might have just shrugged off a suggestion like that, but something about the way he suggested it struck a chord, and eventually I decided to stay an extra year just to study Bible. And I didn't realize it then, but Mr. Saltz was already teaching me an important lesson, that the good student doesn't give up when seeking answers. And this past year at FC has been both the most difficult and the most rewarding year of my time here, in no small part due to the classes I got to take from Mr. Saltz. He began the year, of course, threatening to drown our Greek class in homework. And honestly, that's pretty much all you need to know what all of his classes are like. And often when I took Mr. Saltz's classes, I walked away with more questions than I even came with. The more I learned, the more I realized I didn't know. But Mr. Saltz's best quality as a teacher is that he teaches students how to learn for themselves. I may not have walked away from his classes with answers to all my questions, but I did walk away with something even better, a way to find the answers myself. So, Mr. Saltz, thank you for being my teacher. Thank you for your patience, as I often fail to think through simple questions before blurting out answers. And thank you for continually challenging me to see the Bible from a fresh perspective. I've learned many valuable lessons from you, but most of all, thank you for teaching me to always be a student.
Micah Slatter.
You once told me that influence is a precious, fragile thing. You only get so much time and so many chances. You also told me several times, get out of my office, suck it up and do the thing, or my personal favorite, stop crying and just write. But the influence is really what caught me. In the 4 years that I've spent at Florida College, you have taught me the value of influence, and most importantly, the value of my influence. From my first class, on my first day here, your knowledge and candor has captivated me. So much so that I don't even remember my own fiance sitting next to me the entire first semester. And so much so that if I've counted correctly, I went to take 9 more of your classes, one that you actually created for me. And because of you, I was introduced to a world which could answer so many of my questions, and as Ethan said, more importantly, how to ask the right ones. You pushed me and challenged me to research and form my own thoughts and apply that research to how I live my life. But your influence extends beyond the classroom. Over the last 4 years, your family has been my family. Through you, I gained a great teacher, a wonderful friend, and 2 girls who have felt more like sisters with each passing day. Their presence has made me a more kind and empathetic person, and I will cherish their influence forever. I cannot thank you or your family enough for teaching me that my influence is precious. Thank you for opening your office, your library, and your home to me, and for making me feel like part of your family. You have served as a vital sounding board, teacher, editor, and yes, sometimes therapist, and for that I am eternally grateful. Though I can never repay you for all that you have given me, I hope to start by dedicating this token of appreciation to you, almost Dr. Jared Saltz.
Jackson Sneed.
Well, you know, as a high schooler, I had a lot of ambitions and goals at that time in life. But one of the biggest, if not the biggest, was to be part of the Florida College Friends. As an avid musician and a huge Florida College fanboy even in high school, it was only natural for me to really want to play in the Friends group. And so in 2016, which was my senior year of high school, the Friends group was actually scheduled to spend several days in my hometown of Florence, Alabama, and play a show there as well. I was looking forward to that weekend for many reasons, but one of the biggest being that I knew the guy who was in charge of the Friends group would be there as well. I was excited and nervous to meet him, excited to meet someone who I'd heard so many good things about, but also nervous to make a first impression on the person who would determine the fate of my big dream to be part of the group. But as excited as I was to meet him, I never could have foreseen the impact that Adam Olson would have on my time at Florida College, and even on my life as a whole. As most of you probably know, I made the Friends group, became the drummer, and I started to get to know Adam a little better. I've learned that he has the most indecisive relationship with technology in the history of the world. But whether he was carrying a flip phone or the latest iPhone, there are some things about Adam that have always been consistent. From the very beginning, I observed the passion with which he served this institution. I quickly noticed the genuine enthusiasm he had for the Lord, especially when we were privileged to worship together, whether on campus or elsewhere. I also noticed how deeply he cared for people, for his family, his friends, both lowercase and capital friends, his church family, and truly every student on this campus. I gained a tremendous amount of respect for this man, which made him uniquely poised to, both in word and example, help to teach me some of the most important lessons I've learned in this life. He taught a brash and perfectionistic freshman to care more for the quality of his relationships than the quality of his productions. He helped a sophomore who was still a bit of a music snob to understand even more deeply that there really is so much more to leading God's people in worship than good pitch and tempo. He explained to a junior who felt the weight of the world was on his shoulders that sometimes it can be a bit freeing to realize that you aren't actually as irreplaceable as you might have thought. And he even showed a college senior working as a designer for his marketing department that as nice as it would be to have every project be a perfect, immaculate work of art, choosing your battles can actually help you focus on the most important things and people in life. Adam has been to be a musical director in the Friends, a travel companion, a teacher, a host, a mentor, a boss now, and more. But what I'm most grateful for is that he has also been to me what he called me in a text just last night when he said, "Get some rest, friend." There are many people on this campus who have made a profound impact on me, but tonight I'm thankful to be able to honor my friend, Mr. Adam Olson, with this coin.
Caleb Spear.
Both my grandfathers were preachers, and if you will, that was not my intended goal of career coming to Florida College. And the gentleman I'd like to recognize certainly was a huge push and encouragement and fire for me in changing my mind and going that route, which means for the next 45 minutes, get comfortable. I will be brief. Thank you to Florida College, from my family to my friends to the faculty, whether that was taking me to dinner, checking in on me, academic advising. I apologize if you had to teach me math. I'm very sorry about that, but thank you for your patience. But like I mentioned, that preaching wasn't really my idea coming in freshman year. And then I saw zeal and love, not just for the Bible, but for people, and the idea that is shared of that Jesus did to seek and save the lost. And when I was thinking about preaching, he took like 2 hours after class to sit down with me and look in the scriptures and to give me some advice, no idea what I'm doing. And he shared with me something very simple yet so profound in advice when it came to preaching a crucified Messiah. He said, "Caleb, here's 2 basic principles you should know. Number 1, to know the word in order to, number 2, preach the word. Know the word in order to preach the word." And in the last few months, if you can't tell, our world is subject to futility, for it is fallen and it is hurt. And yet all 4 years I sat in this man's Bible class. He taught that God's people, the Christian, was to speak up for those who are needy, oppressed, the stranger, that the gospel was for everyone. There was no room for prejudice or hate. And he emphasized that biblical truth. And as you heard a moment earlier, he coined the phrase in the Latin, lex talionis. And he would be appalled if any of my fellow graduates didn't know what that meant. He'd be very appalled. He might fall over. And for those who don't know, it's this idea of the law of the tooth. That is, the punishment fits the crime. I'd like to switch that on its head tonight. If you're in the end of the biblical text, on the end of a receiving lex talionis, you do not want to be there. It is not a good place to be. But tonight, if you can even call it a crime, you've been a wonderful professor, a passionate preacher, a dear counselor, and friend to me. And I'd like that due reward to honor and acknowledge you with my ceremonial coin to Professor Tommy Peeler.
Alora Stenson.
You know, 2 minutes is really not enough time to brag on my honoree because there's just so much to admire, but I still want to share some of the best things about her. She is a selfless servant and is always thinking of others. She opens her home to anyone and everyone. She makes the best dessert. She listens and loves fully. She takes you to the ER when you have kidney stones. She humbly shares her wisdom with others. She loves her children, and not just the 3 that God blessed her with, but the hundreds that she encounters each year on this campus. She is a loyal Starbucks customer. She is an encourager. She makes sure your wedding runs smoothly, even during a pandemic. She is the most hardworking mother and wife. She wears so many hats and excels in all of them. She will laugh at you and with you, but she will also pray for you and with you.
She is a true Proverbs 31 woman. She is one of my greatest friends and one of the most loving sisters in Christ. She's just so much of who I want to be one day, and I'm so honored that I get to know her and love her. So I don't know about y'all, but I think we need more Jean Crispels in this world and in God's kingdom.
James Stone.
I do apologize. This is the most amount of people I've seen in the better part of 6 months, so I may stumble over my words a little bit. Tonight, in order to honor my recipient, I need to embarrass myself a little bit. So we're going to get straight to it. I'm honoring Dr. Bassett tonight. First of all, what a great example and a wonderful guy. He put up with me for a couple years, and let me tell you, my early days at college, I was a bit of a rapscallion, and I was very, very tardy to his chorus classes. But I really wanted to learn to sing. I couldn't carry a tune in a bucket, and he knows that. He told me, James, you have a beautiful instrument. You just have no idea how to use it. And I fully accepted that. But he had the patience to look over me and take care of me and to give me some instruction on how to sing. And I had the favor of almost dying in his living room. Many of the students here say they are where they are now because of their honorees. I am literally here because of Dr. Bassett. It was quite a feat on his part to have the strength to look at this kid who'd been missing his classes and not going to his personal training sessions and go, yeah, I guess I better help this guy out so he can miss my classes again. But that he did, and it's not only was he a great example in my career at school, but he gave me such a breath of fresh air, quite literally, in the chorus classes. It was just a great break from school and all the stresses, being able to sing with brothers and sisters in Christ, especially the spiritual songs we sang. It was just a beautiful time that I really, really enjoyed, and I'm greatly going to miss. So tonight I'm honoring Dr. Bassett.
Emma Stout.
I dedicate this coin to two of my dear friends. You have laughed with me, you have loved me with kind compassion, and you have truly cheered me on from the very beginning of my short time at Florida College. You both immediately made me feel special with each conversation we shared and each occasion you opened your home to me, and you too immediately became so very special to me as well. Whether I was constantly running into one of you in between classes or talking to the other one at your kitchen table, each interaction had the power to make my day better. I'm blessed because many of my days were made better by you both. The godly guidance you gave me over the last 3 years will be with me always, especially the unconditional love in which it was given. I love you both. I am in debt to you both. I dedicate this coin to my dear friends, Miss Jean and Dr. Brian Crispell.
Tara Vaughn.
I am stubborn to a fault. I am extremely independent, also sometimes to a fault. And I don't choose to depend on many people, not for there being a lack of wonderful people who would gladly help and counsel, but for the sake of my own stupid pride. And hopefully, in the past 4 years, that's gotten a little better, but I'm still working on it. I know my parents and my fiance are sitting chuckling because they know that to be painfully true. And I have no doubt that these qualities helped me finish my degrees and handle challenges in life that came. But I also know along the way there would have been many people who would have gladly been a mentor when I needed one, but I chose to ignore that and make my life a little more difficult. But about 1 week before I finished my degrees last December, I felt like I was drowning between academic stress and personal stress, as most sleep-deprived and hopped up on caffeine seniors will feel. So I reached out for help, for counsel, for wisdom from people I knew would listen, not because this was a comfortable habit for me, but because I knew they would be there, without question, even though I'm stubborn. And because throughout 4 years, they laid a foundation that started in class, one that was built on at the doors of their offices as they asked about papers and projects, one that grew at church when we talked about our relationships with God, one that grew in their home as I sat on their couch playing games with their kids and watching the stupidest movies I've ever seen, and one that I knew I could count on when it mattered most. So even though there wasn't an instant mentorship from day one, there was a foundation from day one, and it was laid over the course of 4 years. I knew I could depend on them for wisdom and counsel, and one that remains 9 months later, and I pray for years later, because isn't that what this place is about? It's about a foundation, it's about lasting relationships. So I would like to thank Dr. and Mrs. Ward for the lasting mentorship they built with me, that I know I can depend on them for wise counsel that points me to love, or for an awful comedy sketch that leaves me asking, where did the last 15 minutes of my life go? And I know each time I've tried to thank you, you've said, it's not a big deal. I know it's not a big deal to you, because that's who you are, but it's a big deal to me. So thank you.
Faith Wood.
I have never taken a class with the professor that I'm honoring tonight, but I worked for him for 2 years. So, Mr. Chandler, thank you for putting up with me for that long. Thank you for putting up with a lack of knowledge, lack of ability sometimes, and definitely a lack of experience in preparing biology labs. Thank you for asking me how my day was going every day when I walked in your office to work and actually caring about how I was doing. Thank you for being understanding when I would come into your office after work sometimes and tell you about how something up in the lab just mysteriously broke or shattered. And instead of being upset or impatient, you first would laugh at me, understandably, and then you always followed up with grace and mercy, and I'm so thankful for that. And thank you for letting me grow radishes in the biology lab. I think we both hoped that they would be useful to you, but deep down we knew they wouldn't be. But you supported me anyways, so thank you for that. And most of all, thank you so much for being an example to me and a friend. You have taught me so much about how to have a really busy schedule with lots of responsibilities and yet still take the time for other people. You give to others so selflessly, and you give grace and kindness endlessly, and you help me do that better. So I hope your assistant this next semester is less clumsy than I am, but know that I've appreciated you so, so much. Thank you.
Farley Wood.
When I was first trying to decide who I wanted to honor tonight, no one specifically was coming to my mind. There were plenty of people who impacted my life while I was at FC, but none were sticking out to me more than anyone else. So I let my mind wander to anyone who had influenced me while I was at FC, not just my professors. And almost immediately, the one individual that came to my mind was my suite mate for 2 years, Cassie Miller. And it just so happened that Cassie graduated last year, and she now works at FC, so it was perfect. Cassie has had a truly profound impact on my life, starting with her encouragement to me to join the cross-country team. Cassie was a member of the cross-country team already, and it was upon her invitation to join her at practice one day that I joined the team as well. Anyone who knows me knows that I hate getting up early, and anyone who has ran with me knows that what I hate more than getting up early is getting up early to run. One of the only things that motivated me to get up and go to morning practice over the course of 2 years that me and Cassie ran together was knowing that Cassie was next door getting ready too. And if Cassie could get up and get ready to go to morning practice before the sun came up, then I could too. Not only has Cassie influenced me physically, but she has also influenced my life socially. She has influenced me to get out of my comfort zone to meet new people. She has influenced my life academically by reassuring me about my grades and homework, but most importantly, she has influenced me spiritually. Cassie is an example of a Christian who is truly striving after the Lord, and it is her example and encouragement that remind me every day of the individual that I want to be. This past school year was a little different. Cassie had graduated, and I was no longer able to live with her. So instead of walking next door when I needed a friend to talk to, I found myself walking to her office. Oftentimes, I found myself walking that direction without even thinking about where I was going. Regardless of if we talked about a problem I was facing or we just caught up, I always left with a better outlook on life than when I left. She always had a way of reminding me to look at the better, brighter side, and I felt like I gained insight into life after our talks. I didn't know Cassie 3 years ago, but I cannot imagine what my life would be like without her. Thank you so much for everything that you've done. I am beyond thankful for your impact on my life these past 3 years at FC.
Well, one of the things that amazes me about this event is that every one of you did a wonderful job. And it's been that way every year. We appreciate how you have grown as people and how you present yourself, and for the wonderful way in which you honored so many others tonight. It's been a special ceremony. Thank you again, everybody, for being here with us. It's my hope that this occasion has inspired you and has taught you to appreciate Florida College even more deeply, and all the folks who work here so diligently. On behalf of the entire faculty, staff, and administration, please know it's our honor and privilege to serve each generation that comes our way, young men and women who we believe we have helped to shape to be better servants of Christ. Please be reminded there are 2 graduation ceremonies tomorrow, one at 10 a.m. for our AA graduates and one at 4 p.m. for our bachelor's degree graduates. We look forward to seeing you there. Now, graduates, will you please stand? Let's give them one more round of applause here. Good. And now, audience, I'd like for you to stand in honor of these graduates. And then we ask you to remain standing while they are dismissed row by row. And following that, we're going to ask all of the honorees to be dismissed. And honorees, you will be getting your coins as you exit outside. And of course, once they are all exited, all of the audience is welcome to join them outside for further activities with our masks on. Graduates, you're dismissed.